Trayvon Lane and the other gang members from Compton who were with Suge and Tupac as they came out of the Tyson fight spotted Orlando Anderson in the crowd. Anderson and his uncle, Keefe D, had picked up tickets from a Rollin' 60s Crip when they got to Vegas. But since they were scalped...
So yeah, this the other video right here of the fight, I guess in the lobby from that night at the hotel in Vegas. And like this was the night that Tupac got, shot and all that, and Suge Knight got shot in the head.
The seats weren't together, so they had split up and agreed to meet back up at the hotel's food court after the fight. So Anderson was either on his way to the food court or had paused to see if he could spot any of his friends in the crowd when the death row entourage saw him. So Tupac then sees that his friends are kind of looking at this guy in the crowd, and he knew about the beef with Anderson, but he didn't know what the guy looked like. And this is where the infamous claim that Trayvon Lane whispered in Tupac's ear and then Pac took off after Anderson came from, as if Trayvon told him to go punch the dude, which I don't think is what happened. I believe that Tupac was simply told something like, that's the guy we've been talking about, and not realizing that Pac would just take off on his own and lay Anderson out.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Benji. Today we're gonna react to this video from Track Lord Ross. They saying that Diddy had a hit put out on Tupac for $1 million, but we about to really get into it and check it out because I don't know how true it is, but we about to, sit here and watch it together and check.
Trapmore gang, a lot of people have been wondering when is there finally going to be justice in the case of the murder of Tupac Shakur. It's been talked about endlessly for decades in the hip-hop history, and a lot of people were absolutely blown away when the last living suspect in the 1996 drive-by shooting of Tupac Shakur was actually indicted in Las Vegas on the murder charge. I'm talking about Keefe D, okay?
Yeah, everybody who don't know, Keefe D is the bull from LA that been for the past couple years he been just outright saying that he the one who killed Tupac and all this shit or unalived him, but we don't know if that shit true. We just got to sit there and watch.
Keefe D, long known to investigators as one of 4 suspects identified early in the investigation. He isn't the accused gunman, but was described as the group's ringleader by authorities in a news conference. He was eventually charged with murder. Even if you helped commit the crime, they said that he was the shot caller for the group of individuals that committed the crime, and they want to try and actually have justice for Tupac after these decades have gone by. Now, what's so crazy about this, okay, is the fact that although the article called him the last living suspect, Keefe D has repeatedly claimed that actually there was another suspect. There's another person who's very much living who should be in the case. P. Diddy, the diddler. He's claimed for years, okay, that Diddy actually had $1 million bounty on Tupac, and that's really why this whole thing went down. Let's refresh our memories on this.
Yeah. And I guess you said that Puffy called and said, "Was that us?" And you didn't say nothing.
I didn't say nothing. Yeah, you're right.
So this Keefe D right here, this was the guy that's saying, he killed Tupac. And I'm guessing they saying that Diddy paid him $1 million, to kill Tupac. So it's all coming out there. But I don't know. Y'all feel like it still matter now?
There's also, you go into the book, that apparently there was supposed to be $1 million that Zip was supposed to bring back, but he ended up keeping the money and buying a nightclub with it.
That's what the FBI said.
The FBI said that?
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys never got any money?
Never.
For anything?
Nothing.
Huh.
Not even a pair of Sean John.
So wait, so y'all got contracted to do this hit, and now you saying you ain't even get a pair of sneakers from it? Like, he burnt you out the whole mill? Like, you gotta be sick. Like, you should be sick anyway for, even attempting to take somebody's life if that's the case. Like, you just a sick ass weirdo.
On draws. You know what I'm
saying? So he said that they did it. They did it.
He said he ain't even getting no Sean John draws out the deal.
They did Tupac for Diddy, and he never got the money out of it, but he was supposed to be given a whole bunch of cash. Now, reports have now come out to say that Keefe D's apparent trial has been postponed. Rescheduled for August 2026, the defense has been granted extra time to examine decades of evidence in this icon.
And it's crazy because now, if that's the case, then Diddy about to be in some more shit. Like, he already got enough shit going on. Now this all coming out now from the boy Keefe D. It's about to be like Diddy about to be on some shit. And he already going through some shit in jail anyway, trying to be, I guess the model inmate trying to help out everybody for Thanksgiving dinners and shit like that. You got better shit to be worried about.
case. So let's just take a little look back at what some of this decades-old evidence might actually be and whether or not Diddy was actually involved in this incident, okay? Because basically, all the way back on September the 7th, 1996, this is when Mike Tyson was fighting Bruce Seldon, okay? And basically, this is the highlights of the fight, okay? This is what went down. All right, they were in attendance. Tupac, Keefe D, everybody was in Las Vegas for this.
Right.
This fight.
So this was the night Tupac got into that fight inside the casino and all that. And then right after when they left, that's when his car with Suge Knight got shot up and all that shit.
It was a wild fight. I don't want to get in too much trouble, but this, you know what I'm saying, this is how it all went down. And there you have it, basically. Just to give you some context, this is the fight. Tupac was there in attendance. Mike Tyson was doing his thing. Okay, right after the fight, though, Tupac decided to get his Mike Tyson on, okay? And
Yep,
before
in
I
a
get to my
lobby.
case, okay, Tupac, I call him Tupac. I got an English accent.
Tupac wasn't no nut though. Like I don't know if it was just for image. I don't think so. But Tupac wasn't no nut. So even with this whole casino situation, he ran right up in the casino. Well, right up on the casino floor and see main man that had something to do with I forget, it's like about a chain or some shit. And so he run to him and sock him, and they all started fighting and shit. It was a wild night. I definitely like remember seeing that like years after on TV.
If I was American, I had American accent, I'd probably say Tupac, but I'm English, I say Tupac. Tupac. If I say Tupac, that does not make sense. So just for the record. But basically, right after the fight, Tupac Shakur, okay, he decided to try and get his Mike Tyson on. He was with Suge Knight and their whole entourage, and they were basically seen attacking Keefe D's nephew. They were basically trying to get busy. Outside the fight, they had a long-running beef. There were chains that were stolen. Death Row were at war with this other group. And basically, okay, they ended up jumping this guy, Orlando Anderson, a Southside Compton Crip, inside the MGM lobby. And I was there recently, okay?
Las Vegas MGM Grand Hotel.
I was actually there recently.
Death Row Records co-founder Marion Suge Knight is circled. Rap star Tupac Shakur is nearby. Prosecutors say Knight is seen kicking Orlando Anderson, and that act is the alleged probation violation. The video is evidence in Knight's probation revocation hearing, proof the DA's office says Knight took part in the beating of Anderson last September.
If y'all new here to the channel, make sure y'all sub up. I see we got somebody watching. If you're a new viewer, just make sure you sub up to the channel. We are doing giveaways. This Friday, I'm going to put out the announcement for the Cash App giveaway, like how many giveaways I'm going to do on that day, or how many people going to win with that Cash App, and what's the amount and all that. But you got to sub up to, be entered into it. All you got to do is sub up. You don't got to spend no money on nothing. Just, follow me. That's it.
Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight were kicking Orlando, who was on the ground at that time.
Deputy DA Bill Hodgman backed up the video evidence with testimony from the hotel's security manager, Annette Machuca, who said she tried to stop the fight. The judge is not allowing Machuca to appear on camera.
Tell us what you saw.
He was kicking him.
More than once?
Yes.
More than twice?
Yes.
More than 3 times?
Yes.
But when the beating victim, Orlando Anderson, took the stand, he testified Knight tried to stop the beating. Again, we cannot show you Anderson on the stand.
I seen him,
like I said, I remember seeing this, like the actual video, like probably like years after. It wasn't like blurred out, and they just show like Suge Knight and Tupac and like all their little entourage stomping out, main man over this fucking chain or whatever the case may have been. But they was getting in it. I'm saying they was all mixing and shit. But I definitely remember seeing it without it being blurred. Y'all can go definitely look that shit up. It's shit like it's the internet. It's everywhere.
To help him. He was about the only one.
he was helping you, is that correct?
Yes.
Las Vegas Metro Homicide Detective.
So, there's different versions of the story, all right? And it would be essentially just 2.5 hours after this very ill-guided beating that a fan would end up snapping what would be the final photo of Tupac and Suge in the BMW stopped at a red light. Now, moments after this image was taken, obviously the rest is legend, and we know that that's when shots were fired into the vehicle and Tupac was critically wounded. He would end up losing his life, and sadly the news would report his death. Oddly, 6 days later.
So wait, what do y'all think in the chat? Let me know. Like, do y'all think Suge Knight actually had something to do with Tupac being killed, or it was just like a fluky situation from that fight that night that led to, Suge Knight and Tupac being, killed and all that. Because, like that night, Suge Knight got shot in the head too. So I always thought in my mind, like, it'd be a little crazy for you to set something up and you get shot too. Like, that's a little bit extreme to me, but let me know what y'all think in the chat.
It would take quite some time, but ultimately his fate was sealed. And like I say, moments after this image, it all went down.
Complications from several bullet wounds sustained Saturday night, September 7th. He was 25 years old. Shakur was shot 4 times after leaving the Mike Tyson box.
Like, that's crazy. 25 years old, you had your whole life ahead of you. You got this big rap career. You becoming like this big, household name in every, every community, not just the black community, in every community. Like, a lot of people love Tupac, like on the East Coast and the West Coast. So it's just a sad situation all the way around that all this shit happened that night.
Boxing match in Las Vegas in a car driven by Marion Suge Knight, the head of his label, Death Row Records. The shots were fired from a Cadillac that drove up alongside Knight's BMW, but police still have no leads on a suspect or motive. Tupac had been on a respirator in the hospital and had 1 lung removed.
Damn.
Here's a look back on a turbulent...
So it was serious, man. And, there was always a chance he might have survived. There could have been a fluke. There could have been some luck with his health. But unfortunately, he didn't make it. And, that was just a really tragic incident that just really changed hip-hop just forever,
Yeah.
But to give you a little bit more context as to why basically Diddy might have wanted to put $1 million on Tupac's head, we have to go all the way back to 1994 when Tupac ended up getting shot and survived in this quad studio shooting. Now, just to give you a little bit of background, okay, Dexter Isaac was one of the men who was allegedly called to teach Tupac a lesson, and he would basically describe what went down in this quad shooting in his book, From Friends to Enemies, and this is kind of some of the excerpts from the book that were posted to a forum. And basically, just to give the background, okay, Jimmy Henchman, who was obviously an infamous he's an infamous drug kingpin turned music mogul turned back drug kingpin turned jailbird, basically, to put it lightly. Okay, he was.
That's everybody back in that time.
Everybody
Jailbirds
in
and
the
shit.
rap game as well as the streets for decades, right? And basically, what happened is Jimmy agreed to pay Tupac $7,000 for making a guest appearance on a song for one of Jimmy's artists, Lil Sean. And basically, he wanted to give Tupac a check. Tupac wanted cash. Jimmy didn't want to give him a check. And then basically Tupac dissed him. He called him a hoe, a pussy, a bitch. He said, "You New York bitches better have my cash when I get there." And if you know Jimmy Henchman, he ain't play. Tupac
was a gun. Like, you can't say he wasn't like no real ass nigga. Like, you see how he just talking to him? He talking about using bitches all because he didn't want to take no check. I don't know what his excuse was for not wanting to take a check. Maybe that back in them times, check, they bounced real easy. And then, maybe, I don't know. I don't even know, but it's just a bunch of bullshit. And Tupac wasn't having it.
Would have known better than to disrespect Jimmy like that, talking recklessly. Everyone knew Tupac had a big mouth, but now he seriously upset Jimmy. So basically, the hitters, the shooters, the gangsters, they were dispatched to go and teach him a lesson, basically. They were sent over there. They said, "You need to go and teach him a lesson. All right, get over there and deal with Tupac." Says here, Jimmy needs you to do a job for him. He wants you to rob the rapper Tupac Shakur and teach him a lesson about respect. So the deal was going to be basically that he got to keep all of the jewelry from the robbery except for the biggest diamond ring. Jimmy wants that as a souvenir, and he'll give you $2,500 to pay your peoples for helping you. They ran down a whole list of
$2,500 to risk your life possibly is not enough money. Like, what the fuck? $2,500 nowadays is like $25. You can spend that shit in a few fucking minutes. Even back then, for you to be like a big rap star or be in the hip hop scene, $2,500 wasn't a lot of money. Needed 7,000, but I don't know. Maybe in that time it was.
The exact jewelry that Pac would be wearing, the value of each, and basically he knew where he'd bought all of this jewelry from. He knew what he had. He knew what he bought, and basically knew everything that was going on. And basically, this is where you start to see, Diddy and Biggie kind of get involved in this situation. And this is a situation where, Pac basically...
It was just crazy how Biggie and Tupac was homies at one point, and then once Diddy really got involved, like, shit really fell out for him. And then they started making all the diss tracks, like Tupac made the one called what is it? I fucked your bitch or something like that. But it was geared at fucking Biggie and what was his girl at the time? The singer. I forget her name, but she a older singer. but I forget her name, but Tupac made a song about that, talk about yeah, he fucked her and all that, and that's really what sparked all the beef. And then Tupac got shot inside this apartment, well, this studio one night, and he seen but Biggie was upstairs in the studio, and he got shot in his apartment building. So Biggie peoples came and helped him, and said he instantly thought, like when he came to, he instantly thought that Biggie was the one who got him shot up and all that shit. And so it was more beef after that. It was just a bunch of chaos around that time. It was really street war.
Ended up feeling a certain type of way about Diddy and Biggie, and obviously the Biggie Tupac beef is legendary, and they both ended up losing their lives. This they basically explain.
Yeah.
When we got off the elevator, Jimmy was right there waiting for us. To my right, I saw Biggie sitting on the sofa talking to Lil C's by the window. To the left up front, I saw Lil Sean behind a glass booth. All the way to my left, I could see Puff Daddy. He was talking to some dude with a dark bronze complexion like his. The dude was a little taller, and I would later find out this was Puffy's mentor and ex-boss, Andre Harrell. How many people know what's about to go down? He knows, Jimmy replied, nodding his head in Puffy's direction. He said Diddy looked him dead in the eye, and that's when I knew he was involved. What Paulie told me, is this real? Yeah, it's all official, Jimmy stressed, but I don't want you to kill him, just rough him up and take his stuff.
That's crazy. Like, see how people just try to backdoor you like quick as shit. Like, and I guess he peeped the blitz. Like, niggas not dumb. He peeped what was going on. Like, it's crazy.
Got a call. Tupac will be here in 15 minutes, and he's got a couple dudes with him. They said, all right, we're ready. Jimmy called again, letting them know that Tupac and his entourage were in the garage around the corner, parking their car, and they'd walk around the corner at any minute. So they pulled up. They ordered Pac and his crew to get the F on the floor right now. They dropped to their knees, but Pac was bucking. He reached for his gun that he had tucked in his waist. JD grabbed his hand, and they both struggled for control. Pac's gun goes off before he can pull it free from his waist, and then JD started pistol whipping Pac in the head, over and over with a 45. When I heard the shot, I crept around the corner to see what was up. Everything is cool, Spunk said. We got this under control, but right at that moment, Lil C's comes riding downstairs on the elevator. When the door opened, I barked at him, get the F back inside and go upstairs. His eyes got as big as a crackhead's who's just finished his first hit.
See, that's crazy. See, now look, now Tupac getting robbed, but he wasn't no simp. So, cause he peeped everything that was going down. He seen that, you know, niggas was trying to get at him and all that. So he already reached for his gun, but before he could pull it out, the gun went off, and then he started getting pistol whipped. So, you know, he wasn't able to pull his gun out really defend himself the way he's supposed to. And it's crazy. He might still be alive to this day. Who knows? If none of this shit really happened, who knows? Let me know what y'all think in the chat, though.
So they stripped Pac of all of his jewelry, and they basically took off, put the guns and the jewels in the stash box, and got out of there. It says, after we reached our cars, Paulie approached me and said, why did you shoot Pac? He asked with disappointment spreading across his face. Jimmy called complaining about Pac and his boys come up to the studio all bloody, and Tupac said, y'all shot him. Now, this is crazy. I didn't even know this story, right? But it basically says, he said, follow me upstairs. I'll show you something. He had all his boys put the guns on the table and empty the magazines. After laying all the bullets on the table, he counted every bullet to Paulie, showing him not one bullet was spent from our weapons. They said Tupac shot himself in the groin with his own gun. The wounds on his forehead came from the pistol whipping JD gave him, and the wound on his hand.
But it came from the niggas trying to rob him. So he shot himself in his balls or his groin, whatever it was, because y'all tried to rob him, and he went to go pull his gun. And he couldn't get out enough time, and his finger must have hit the trigger while he tried to pull it, and somebody stopped him from pulling the gun out. So that's how he shot himself. And in the midst of that, like, he filmed a bunch of pain. They just started pistol whipping him. Like, it's crazy.
Hand came from the slide on his gun when he fired it when it was stuck on his waist. It says Tupac went and told everybody he was shot 5 times at close range, which was an outright lie. If we'd shot him 5 times, he would have been dead, and then we would have had to shoot and kill the dude.
That's not necessarily true. If somebody can survive five shots, like, look at 50. 50 got hit 9 times and survived, hit in the face and all that. So you can't just say he would have been dead. Like, it's just crazy.
That were with him too. Why would we shoot him 5 times if we weren't trying to kill him? If we shot him 5 times, we would not have left any witnesses. The mission was not to kill Pac that night. We were there to teach him a lesson for disrespecting Jimmy, and that's what we did. All that crazy stuff about him getting shot 5 times was just acting. People forget the brother was an actor. He should have got an Academy Award for his acting skills.
Fuck the acting.
Obviously, Diddy and
man, fuck all that acting. You still, like, I don't give a fuck what it is. If he acting or not, like, you still got, like, if he got shot, you had something to do with him getting shot, even if he shot himself. Like, fuck all that. I don't give a fuck what story you tell after that. The point is, he got shot because you sent niggas to rob him. Like, what?
His crew allegedly being in on it and knowing exactly what was going to happen, there was obviously going to be bad blood. And it sounds like he saw one of the artists associated with Biggie while the robbery was going down, and he kind of knew what was up, basically, right? And so apparently, okay, while Tupac was broke and locked up awaiting trial for his 93 assault case, Suge Knight would publicly show support for Pac and diss Diddy just outright in front of everybody at the 1995 Source Awards. This went down as being legendary, and this was basically throwing shade at Diddy and basically, you know, frontlining it for Pac.
First of all, I'd like to thank God. Second of all, I'd like to thank my whole entire...
That's Suge Knight. Like, that's when Suge Knight, oh, that's back at 1995 Source Awards. Back then, Suge Knight was like a big threat. Like, everybody perceived him as a threat because all the weird shit he was doing. He was, you know, harassing rap artists. That's how he really made his name. Like, being the modern day Debo. You know, Debo from Friday. That was that nigga role. But he just took that shit to the extreme. Like, I don't know. He always been weird to me. And that's why he's sitting in jail now on some weird shit.
Family on both sides, you know what I'm saying? I'd like to tell Tupac to keep his guards up. We riding with him.
Fuck out of here. You talking about keep his guard up. We ride with him. You had something to do with it. How the fuck? Talking about keep his guard up. Right? I'd have took that as a shot right there. Keep your guard up. Like, what you mean keep my guard up? What you had something to do with me getting, you know, shot and all that?
And one other thing I'd like to say, any artist out there want to be an artist and want to stay a star and don't have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the videos, all on the record, dancing, come to Death Row.
All right. He's taking a shot at Diddy. Talk about Diddy be all in everybody videos, dancing and shit like that. How you the EP, but you sit out here trying to be the artist. He took a shot right at Diddy. That's when they was really beefing. That was when Bad Boy and motherfucking what was his shit called? Death Row Records. That's when they was going at it. And right after that, after Tupac got shot, he was trying to leave Death Row, and that's when Suge Knight gave him Death Row East, and that's when he was taking it, bringing it back to the East Coast, and trying to bring Death Row over here. But then a bunch of shit happened with that.
So that was a giant diss to Diddy. Diddy was the one who was always dancing, can't stop, won't stop in the videos, dancing, all of that stuff, okay? Now, this would basically lead Tupac to get out of jail and immediately sign with Death Row Records and get the bond money he needed for his release.
And that was the setup right there.
This is the contract that he signed, okay? This is the contract that he apparently signed.
Suge Knight set all that up right there. That's why he said what he said. We got your back, because he wanted him to come sign with them, and that was the whole, they call it a honey trap. That was the trap for him. So he let him in, you know, thinking he got his back and all that, because he already going through this shit with Diddy and all them over at Bad Boy. So he's like, Suge Knight, like, we got your back. So yeah, just come over here. We gonna fuck with you. We gonna ride with you. Whole time he was against him too. Backdoor legend.
Needed money to bail himself out of jail, and Suge Knight came with the infamous Death Row Records Napkin contract, a 3-album, $3.5 million contract, but Interscope Records owned Death Row, so to make things official, on October the 4th, 95, Tupac signed a formal contract with Interscope, sealing the deal to work with Death Row. And basically, what makes the contract even more special is Interscope Records deems this to be Tupac's bail agreement and detail how, when signed, they'll release Tupac from prison. So basically, he signed this contract, he signed a record deal that simultaneously released him from jail and also signed him.
That's crazy. That's some wicked work. You heard me? Listen, they had, in order for him to get out of jail, he had to sign this contract with Suge Knight. This contract could have said any fucking thing. Like, but this was a stipulation for him to get out of jail. It was like Suge Knight and Death Row was like his motherfucking house arrest. Like, they was going, you know, oversee that, make sure, you know, Tupac did everything he's supposed to do. But the whole time, it was just, you know, leading up to, you know, get Tupac tied into Death Row so they could take everything from Tupac. Like, Suge Knight, he was a smart but dangerous motherfucker.
With a $3.5 million record deal. Now, weeks before Tupac gets out, this is unfortunately when this feud would sadly end up claiming its first life. And in an interview with The Art of Dialogue, Mark Curry and Greg Taylor would basically explain how Suge Knight and Campanella Pyru Big Jake actually confronted Diddy at Jermaine Dupri's birthday party, with this actually leading to a violent altercation.
And we get there. I had been at Jermaine Dupri's party and I seen Jake. I got a business card from him.
They said Suge Knight smacked Diddy. Like, I can see that on some shit, because I see Diddy as being like this big ass weird dancing producer ass nigga, but you know, he getting slapped the fuck around. I can see that that's his character. So he tried to do everything he can to get this money to stay like on top. Oh, I can get this nigga hit or all this because now you got the money too.
It said President of Death Row, Jake. right? I was like, cool. And this dude was bigger than Suge. Suge was big, but Jake was bigger than he was, right? And he was looking for Puff, and they were looking for Jermaine and them there. And I didn't see them at their own party. I'm like, where's these guys at? I get over to the Platinum House. They're all in there. So we walk in, and it's Jermaine Dupri, his security, Puff with Wolf. And Jake looks in and see these guys, right? I'll never forget that bend over. He looked over, he looked at that door and seeing that they was in there. Came right to the. He went back and got Suge. Suge came back. Boom, 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 boom. He came right in and slapped the out of Jermaine Dupri.
Damn.
Wow! Jermaine ran out the goddamn club. You know, my boy Jermaine. Shout out Jermaine. It was no way he could even compete with that because he slapped his security too and beat his security up.
Damn, Suge was a fucking problem. They say he came in and slapped Jermaine Dupri. Jermaine Dupri ran. He slapped his security all by himself. He ain't say yet that that Suge Knight had a bunch of people with him. He just saying that Suge Knight came there and slapped them niggas. And that was just that.
So you got these guys, they're going to war with each other's securities. They're pulling up, securities are slapping people out, people are getting chased through the club. It's no surprise then that this led to a very, very ugly escalation, man.
He protected them. And, oh man, it was a nightmare. And Jermaine ran out, his security ran out. Jake and shit's birthday. On his birthday, he got slapped like that.
Damn.
That dude, no, like,
on your birthday too, though? You get slapped like that on your birthday? That's wicked.
So then we like, oh, snap. Right?
Suge is a wicked motherfucker.
Right there, and he snatched Puff off his feet. It's the first time.
Like, can y'all imagine somebody walking up to you and just slapping and shit out on your birthday? Like, what type of birthday would that be? Like, I would start tweaking instantly. That birthday would have been the one for the fucking books. No lie, because I had been tweaking and I'd probably ended up in jail that night for somebody slapping me. Like, what?
Never seen a man dangling in the air off their feet with
what?
one hand. Suge had him with one hand and was shaking them. Like, what's up?
They try to make Suge seem like he was Thanos.
And was shaking him. And you know what I'm saying? I guess, you know, he must have not been oiled up that night. He managed to get a good grip on him. He was shaking him. The coins probably fell out his pocket, man.
He slapped the Mario coins out of him.
What's up with Mary J. Blige Publishing? What's up with Josie Publishing? Puff go, yo, Suge, I ain't gonna be your bitch. Grabbed his arm, put his right hand, and Suge shook him again.
Yo, like a little ass boy.
Grabbed him. Wolf was so gangster. He said, boom, Suge ain't going down like this no more. Puff was enough. And he brought Puff out the air, set him back on his feet. And him and Puff went at it with Suge. They both went at it with him, right? Then Jake reached over and grabbed the two niggas that was sitting at the bar that ain't had nothing to do with it. He grabbed this Jamaican dude, the smallest one. The littlest dude, he grabbed this dude like, ugh! And dude go like this and go, me not no fan of yours. I don't watch television. Jake was like, ooh. We was all like, ooh, he grabbed the live wire. Like, you don't watch TV. So he set him back down. We like, whoa. Yeah. And we.
So apparently, right, after this, while this section of the altercation, it just ended in a little fisticuffs, a little shake around, you know what I'm saying, a little shake it up kind of maneuver. Apparently things did actually escalate once they got outside of the club in a very, very sad way. The fight ended, they left the venue, and apparently it was at this point that a lone gunman actually ran up and ended up shooting Big Jake, who was, you know, Suge Knight's close friend, who was rolling with them at the night. And apparently Suge avoided getting hit by using Diddy quite literally as a human shield.
We like, oh, nah, let them niggas fight it out.
Suge was vicious.
We had a room upstairs, and then we just shoot dice in there. We go up there, and it was Suge, Puff, Wolf, and Jake.
I don't know. Y'all think Suge was, you know, as tough as niggas making it seem? Because, I don't know, I heard a lot of stories about Suge, and I heard he definitely used a lot of people as, like, human shields. Like, weird shit. This is crazy.
With V, walked into the room. We stood out, let them go in, and held the door down where everybody was watching. And all you can hear was boom, 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 boom. They was in there fighting like a motherfucker. And all of a sudden, V opened the door, and there goes Suge and Puff standing there like this, hugged up. We like, oh, these niggas worked that out. They worked that stuff. They was like, quick. And we all came down. We came out the club. It was like the beef is squashed. We came down the dance floor, and we were walking out the Platinum, and it had a little atrium. And I'll never forget because it's I could see it, the tour bus across the street. We standing there, Suge's in front of, with Puff. They walking to the limo, hugged up. Jake and Wolf is walking behind them. All of a sudden, somebody started shooting across the street. And I knew Mark was at the front of the gates.
Yeah, I'm at the front.
I know he was up there strapped. And I'm like, who the fuck is out there shooting across the street? I can see the dude just busting, pop, 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 pop. And the security ran. The Atlanta PD ran that we paid to protect us from unwanted attacks and shit. When soon as that dude started shooting, the cop ran. I'm like, oh,
first one.
We in trouble. The cops ran.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, the dude just came out of nowhere. Where everybody was looking that way, this dude came out of nowhere and flashed like the Flash and spent, and he touched Jake with that gun. I never seen that shit before. Them New York niggas is the coldest killing niggas I ever seen in history. They killed that play. They called the play for the overlay. They started shooting across the street to make everybody look. We looked. The dude came out of nowhere and just touched Jake.
Right. That's
400
crazy.
pounds. He hit him like, what, 4 times, 7 times?
5.
I mean, he just kept shooting, just touching him. Bop, bop, bop. But the whole time he was looking at Suge like, you next, nigga. And we like, oh, shit. And I'm standing right behind him. We like, it's happening so fast. And then he pulled out on Suge to blast Suge. And I thought it was a girl because it was screaming like a girl.
It could have been 2 times because when I looked, I seen him had Puff. That's when he had Puff in that chokehold.
So he's saying he had Puffy in a chokehold, low key.
Use him as a shield.
Protecting himself.
Jake was doing that. The reason why, just imagine, if the girl was in front of, why he wouldn't have let the girl have it too? If he just finished doing what he was doing, if it was a girl,
he ain't leave no witness.
All that was protecting him at that time, she would have got it too that night.
Yeah.
He couldn't do it. That's why he grabbed somebody he couldn't shoot at. That's why he looking at him like, yo, this should have been you, but I can't get you right now, but I got him.
To let you know.
Yeah, I'm letting you know.
That's why he looked at him like that.
That's why he would look, because he couldn't do nothing to it because Puff was right there.
Damn.
So hold on. So then he drew down on Suge to give it to him, and Suge snatched Puff up.
Yeah, that's when he,
and that's when they wouldn't shoot
with that tan linen suit on.
And then he backed because they was going to the limo. Then they backed up to the back door. We go back into the back door to the club.
That's when he
snatched the girl.
Yeah. That's when he was running crazy. Remember he was like, oh shit.
I know I was running. I don't know. All I know, that they started shooting. It was like slow-mo camera, like it's like your whole life flashed before your eyes.
Yeah, but when he was shooting, I knew he wasn't going to shoot me because I told you I used to see him all the time. Like I used to be the one that served him his, crystals every night. So when he was shooting, it let me know that I could actually look at it because I said he's not going to shoot me. He's shooting somebody else.
Man, so that don't mean shit. Like what? If somebody's shooting, they can shoot any one of y'all. That don't mean they not gonna shoot you. Like how the fuck you sell? You sell dumb as shit. So you stood there and watched. I could stand there and watch because I knew he wasn't gonna shoot me. Why you tripping? You a witness. Like why wouldn't he shoot you too? Be smart.
Sit there and look like this and go, wow.
Yeah. I've never seen it.
It's crazy, man. It's actually a crazy story. Now, later on, they would also open up basically that Diddy himself, the slippery character he is, he denied all involvement in this hit. But Suge and the Pyrus, they blamed Diddy and they vowed revenge after Big Jake died at the hospital that night, man.
Well, dude, so when I got around that corner and seen Jack down there and when he was Jake trying to bring him back, Suge and Puff was like right here.
Right there, over to the right.
And Puff kept going, man, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Suge was like, it's going to be all right. Tell your kids it's going to be all right. Tell your mom it's going to be all right. Then he like slapped Puff again. Bow! He hit that nigga so hard and so fast, you ain't had time to react. I felt sorry for Puff.
Man.
Because he kept trying to explain that he was innocent, that he ain't had shit to do with this. He said, Suge, there you go, man. I ain't got shit to do with this, man.
Damn.
Like, what you mean you ain't got nothing to do with this?
He was like,
he making Diddy sound like a straight hoe. So I wonder what's going on with Diddy right there in jail. They probably doing the same shit to him in jail, slapping him the fuck around, treating him like a hoe. You got that bag, get that shit up, nigga. Make sure my motherfucking commissary come in on the right date, bitch, and just slap him. Bow!
It's gonna be all right though, Suge. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. Then I was like, you know what? This nigga dying. The ambulance is taking forever. I said, in Detroit, we gotta play. Let's throw this nigga car and take him to the hospital. Right down the street. So load him up and take him. So we go to load up Jake, and the police drew down on us.
Damn.
I said, y'all motherfuckers gonna draw down on us after we try to save a black man's life. But it's when the dude was shooting across the street, y'all ran. Y'all supposed to run to the action instead of running from the action, but y'all gonna draw us down on us after we try to save this man's life.
Got bad. They broke bad.
So they made us wait for the ambulance to come. We waited. So it was like all of us while we was there. Then the 4 guys came. They were like the X-Clan, or I thought they were like the
X-Clan, man. It looked like them because they had the African, the African stuff.
Glorious.
It looked just like the X-Clan.
They were like, yo, another black man shot dead in the streets. Is what they said. They jumped out. Was like, and they walked up and they seen Suge. It was like that. Puff was like, see Dallas, you see Jermaine. They were like, hey man, we trying to get to where y'all at, and y'all out these streets. Y'all trying to get to the streets where we at. Why every time we see y'all, we see death.
Every time we see y'all, we see nothing but death.
And we was like, oh snap, right? And then Suge was fucking going, it's gonna be all right, Suge.
It's gonna
They kept
be
going
all
back.
right.
They were going back and forth.
It's gonna be all
Suge
right.
like, it's gonna be all right, bitch, right? And then the police were saying when they seen it was Suge and Puff, the police sent.
So look, all right, this really just was a messed up situation, okay? Essentially, okay, this is a situation where Suge was going to vow revenge. And around this time, Diddy needed the protection that he knew how serious this was. So he apparently linked up with the Southside Compton Crips through his godfather, Eric Von Zip. Now, in an interview on AGTV, a retired NYPD officer actually would claim that Eric Von Zip was known as the king of PCP. This is a serious character, okay?
Damn.
Yeah, so Eric Von Zip was known to me as somebody who was at one time worked with Melvin Combs, who was Puffy's father. He was a drug dealer in Harlem. He was known as being the king of PCP in New York. And if you wanted
Zip or
to...
Melvin, I'm sorry.
Zip. Okay. So Eric Von Zip was known as the PCP
So that's
king.
Diddy
If you
uncle.
wanted liquid PCP, he had it.
Or his
And you'd see
godfather.
it in like huge, allotments. Back then, guys were dipping, weed, a joint into PCP, smoking it, and doing really crazy stuff. I guess it's like kind of like a meth speed kind of thing, but it also has, the ability to make people violent.
So this is the sorts of people that Diddy's getting around him for protection, all right? So things are getting very serious and they're really spiraling out of control. Now, according to comedian TK Kirkland, a close friend of Zip, Zip had also been romantically involved with Diddy's mother at one point. So this was getting very conflicted.
Zip is one of those. Listen, when we would go shopping, Zip would get in 20 cars before we got into the main car. Before we got to the
you just jump from car to car?
We would go from car 10 blocks. I thought that was just in the movies when I saw it.
So he had cars he owned parked in different
Zip
locations?
had cars, my man.
Wow.
We would get in one car, do that.
Someone told me, I forgot who this was, said that before he passed, he was dating Puffy's mom.
Yeah.
That's
I
true.
thought that was a money grab.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Motherfucker. That's exactly what I said. That motherfucker.
Oh, you talked
Zip.
about it?
Yeah, I said that motherfucker Zip. Because me and his sister is tight too to this day. Yeah. I said that motherfucker Zip. He's something else, but
yeah.
Zip something.
So the king of PCP, Zip, all right, he allegedly was moving product all across state lines, and apparently one of his alleged West Coast partners was the Southside Compton Crips. Now, Keefe D, the man later fingered for the murder of Tupac Shakur, he would apparently, okay, according to some conversations on Vlad TV, he would apparently essentially, end up revealing that he was basically with Zip. Right, Keefe D was apparently with Zip when Diddy called asking for protection, and essentially he aligned Bad Boy with the Crips against Death Row and the Pyru Blood. So it became an interstate Crips versus Blood gang war, all off the back of Diddy linking up with these Crips, and basically Keefe D and Death Row all tapped in with the Bloods. It became Crips versus Bloods interstate. Okay. And
Before Hit 'Em Up,
this is Keefe D breaking down.
Was Puffy approaching y'all for security and protection?
No, he had had a West Coast tour coming up.
Okay.
San Diego, San Jose, the little areas, Anaheim, LA, stuff like that, Vegas. So he called one night, me and Zip. I don't know whether they had set this up or not, but Zipper came pick me up. We rolling up Greenleaf in our neighborhood, and his phone ring, boom, and it was Puff. And he like, you think it's cool to come out here and do concerts? I'm like, why wouldn't it be cool? So he like, the big CEO dude. So
Sugar.
Yeah. I like, damn, what's going on with y'all? He like, man, shit, you think it's just cool? I like, shit, just let me know the dates and give me some tickets. We had the Crips there, but I see he was trying to play us against each other. Crips, Bloods, you know what I'm saying? Sugar, Blood, we the Crips. So I guess that was his protecting thing going.
Okay, so you just...
So
Yeah,
Basically, all right, Bad Boy tapped in with a bunch of Crips. Death Row tapped in with the Pyrus.
he was trying, get some protection from Suge by bringing the Crips, knowing that Suge is a blood, so he trying to bring other niggas on, especially if he trying to throw some shows in wherever cities he trying to throw them in, knowing that it's like possible that Suge Knight could pop up on to him, make sure some Crips is there, knowing back then Crips and Bloods was really going at it, but still Suge Knight was still Suge Knight.
Diddy's over there in New York, but he's basically got this LA gang war popping off, right? And now bear in mind, all of this is going on while Tupac is dealing with legal situations. He signs his multi-million-dollar deal so that he can get out on bond. And when Pac bonds out, he immediately declares war on Diddy, all right? He declares war on the Diddler long before we knew how despicable the Diddler really was behind the scenes. He declared war on Diddy, Biggie, and the whole of the Bad Boy record label, and he accused them all of being involved in the Quad setup, or at least knowing who was, which arguably we have established is actually true.
Because they know the prodigal son has returned. I'm alive. The ghost is walking around. You know what I mean? And I'm alive talking.
Pac was a problem too, though. Like, I ain't gonna hold you. Pac was definitely a problem. Like, look how he talked. Pac, he was smart. He knew how to, plan shit out and plot shit out. Pac wasn't no slouch.
It was never a beef. It's only a difference in opinion. That's like me being mad at my little brother because he getting cash now. I'm not mad at that. I'm just mad at my little brother when he don't respect me. Now, when you don't respect me, I'm gonna spank your ass. I don't give a fuck how rich you got on the block. I'm your big brother. I will break your big ass down. Everybody thinks that I disrespected or I love my East Coast fans. I'm from there. I'm eating New York pizza. I drive New York Jeeps. I want to hear New York. But I'm saying, let's keep it real for a second. If you have the love of music that you are, study. Go back and study. Study why I would be mad. Study why I would be mad when half of New York, half of the major New York rappers, or they managers, or they agents, or they somebody was there when I got shot, and nobody couldn't give me no information. Just study. That's all I ask for. If you're gonna act like you a gangster or a G or the king of New York, I'm expect that. And when you don't come through, then I'm gonna want to crush your empire, and that's what it's time for.
So he said he's going to crush their empire. He said everybody knew what was going on. He said, I got shot in your studio. You're supposed to be the king of New York, and you don't know what's going on? I see what's going on here for real. Now,
right.
Okay, by the end of 1990...
Right, how you don't know nothing, you claim to be the king of all this shit. Like, you supposed to be plugged into everybody, but you don't know what happened in your city. I feel you, Pop.
5, okay, at a Death Row Christmas party, apparently a record executive loosely tied to Diddy was actually interrogated and beaten by Suge Knight, Tupac, Dr. Dre, of all people. Apparently Dre was there, and several Pyrus looking for information on Diddy. Now, knowing Diddy, he might have liked that. He might have actually enjoyed getting slapped around by some real bad boys, okay? And Mike Dorsey from the Murder Rap channel actually did an amazing job covering this on his channel, so let's hear what he had to say about this alleged incident.
So Suge allegedly has his brother-in-law, Norris Anderson, clear everyone out of the VIP room and then stand outside the door. And left in the room with Bell is allegedly Suge Knight, Tupac Shakur, Dr. Dre, a male black with gold teeth whose name Bell doesn't catch, so he's just referred to in this report as Gold Teeth, and 2 other men. Suge puts a chair in the middle of the room and tells Bell to have a seat, and Suge takes a seat in front of him. Suge asks him about Puffy and asks again why Bell didn't cooperate, and Bell tells him he doesn't want to get involved. Suge asks him questions about Combs' parents and where his mother lives, where Puffy's office is. And then this is interesting to me. Bell claims that Tupac would whisper into Knight's ear and he would ask more questions. So it's like Tupac is feeding questions to Suge during this interrogation. And during these questions, Gold Teeth offers his own input, which is hitting Bell on the side of the face. And he says, this is for the person who died, most likely a reference to Jake Robles, and we're going to kill you. And he or another person in the room also says, that was our homie that died. So Bell is beaten with fists and champagne bottles, and Suge tells him he's going to have to deliver Puffy. And Tupac says Bell is lying about not knowing where Combs was at. And one of the other men tells him, I could kill you now if Knight says so.
So like I said, Suge Knight was a beast. He said, I can kill you if Suge Knight says so. Not if he wanted to, but if Suge say so, I'm going to do that shit. Like, damn.
Goes into the bathroom and comes out with a glass that Bell believes is full of urine. and Suge hands the glass of piss over to Bell, and lucky for him, Gold Teeth hits him again, and this makes him drop the glass, and at that point he makes a break for it, and he runs out to a nearby balcony, hoping to either jump off of it or to at least be seen and get someone's attention. But Suge and Tupac grab him before he can get over the railing, and he holds on tight, and it takes about half a minute for them to break him free, hitting his hands to get him to let go. But lucky for him, even though he doesn't make it over, the gambit works, because downstairs, his friend the photographer sees him, quote, spread out on the balcony, and he thinks he sees Tupac making a stabbing motion at Bell. And as they're dragging him back into the room, Bell claimed that Tupac is hitting him on the neck. So they get him back inside the room, and Bell's friend said that he saw Suge come back outside and straighten out a Christmas tree. Because, you know, Suge's all about that holiday spirit. So the friend decides that Bell...
all about that holiday spirit, man. So look, the man himself, okay, Mark Anthony Bell, he's apparently beaten up and robbed. And essentially, this is all just, you know, for not providing the information and as revenge for Big Jake, they basically just do a number on him and just completely just absolutely smash him in, man. It's crazy.
They go check it out. Meanwhile, back inside the room, the altercation turns into a full-on beatdown after they've dragged Bell off of the balcony, with everyone hitting and kicking him and throwing things at him. And Suge supposedly says body blows only. And Gold Teeth puts Bell in a chokehold for a minute or two and says this is for our friend that died. And Bell nearly passes out and decides to just go with it, and he plays dead. And while he's on the floor, someone takes his watch off his wrist, and he also loses his gold chain and his wallet. And his attackers also consider taking his diamond earring. Altogether, about 30 grand worth of items and cash are taken off of him. Then they back off, and he stands up.
And back at that time, 30,000 was a lot of fucking money, like especially on jewelry. Like, and back then, a lot of them rappers wore like gold. They wasn't buying like silver and platinum and shit like that. They was wearing like gold ropes and shit like that. Like that shit, the gold by itself was worth more than like probably like 30,000 at the time.
And Suge suddenly acts like the beating never happened, and he offers him money, allegedly saying, if you come over to our side, I'll make you rich, and you can be a part of this team, I can make you rich. Do you want to make 500,000 or $1 million? Do you have friends that could deliver? So it's like, you may not know where Puffy stays in LA, but I bet you know people who do. And then they hear people talking on portable radios, and they get the heads up that the cops have arrived. And Suge walks Bell to the bathroom and tells him to clean himself up, and that if he wants his jewelry back, he can call Suge tomorrow and, quote, we'll talk about it. Gold Teeth then asks Suge, should I do him? And Suge was probably thinking, what, I just asked the guy to clean himself up and call him in.
Right.
Like, weren't you listening? So Suge says he's good. And Gold Teeth tells Bell, you're lucky that he said you were good. And I think Gold Teeth needs to just settle down.
So he nearly had this man murdered, right? Gold Teeth was basically ready to have him murdered. Now,
yeah, he was just about to
off
do
the back
it.
of this, okay, out of nowhere, very, very disrespectful. Suge Knight also tries to get back at Diddy by spending time with Diddy's ex, Misa Hilton. And basically, his son, Justin Combs, even ends up spending time with Diddy, okay? Misa Hilton, Justin Combs, and Suge Knight. That's her legs pictured to the far left. That's Justin Combs with Suge. Now, this is insanity. Okay?
Yeah.
This is murder. This is murder talk. Okay, that
Right.
beef was very, very personal.
It was personal. And there, you taking pictures with my son. Like, damn, you just sitting there chilling in the living room, like playing with him. I don't see no other kids around or nothing. Like, what type shit is this? That shit that make me snap.
Suge is giving the springs in that sofa a run for its money. That's facts, man. He was a big man. But anyway, things would just continue to escalate from here. And of course, as you may well know, or you may not know, by July 1996, this is the summer of 96, and this is when Orlando Anderson, who's Keefe D's nephew, allegedly ends up robbing a Death Row affiliated Pyru for his chain.
This is a flashback episode. One of the Bloods in Suge Knight's inner circle at Death Row, named Trayvon Lane, had a beef with a Crip rival named Orlando Anderson, which had reached a boiling point during a fight at the Lakewood Mall, just a few miles from Compton, where Anderson and some other Crips had tried to take Trayvon's Death Row medallion. From what I've heard from a couple of sources, it was decided after this incident that the next time the Bloods aligned with Death Row saw Orlando Anderson, it was on.
So they said it was on site, right? And obviously it did end up being on site when they bumped into each other at the Mike Tyson fight. Months later at this Tyson fight, okay, Pac and Suge's entourage, they end up spotting Orlando Brown, and they jump him right there in the MGM Grand Lobby, man. Beautiful lobby.
People who were there. Trayvon Lane and the other gang members from Compton who were with Suge and Tupac as they came out of the Tyson fight spotted Orlando Anderson in the crowd. Anderson and his uncle, Keefe D, had picked up tickets from a Rollin' 60s Crip when they got to Vegas. But since they were scalped...
So yeah, this the other video right here of the fight, I guess in a lobby from that night at the hotel in Vegas. And like this was the night that Tupac got, you know, shot and all that, and Suge Knight got shot in the head.
The seats weren't together, so they had split up and agreed to meet back up at the hotel's food court after the fight. So Anderson was either on his way to the food court or had paused to see if he could spot any of his friends in the crowd when the death row entourage saw him. So Tupac then sees that his friends are kind of looking at this guy in the crowd, and he knew about the beef with Anderson, but he didn't know what the guy looked like. And this is where the infamous claim that Trayvon Lane whispered in Tupac's ear, and then Pac took off after Anderson, came from. As if Trayvon told him to go punch the dude, which I don't think is what happened. I believe that Tupac was simply told something like, that's the guy we've been talking about, and not realizing that Pac would just take off on his own and lay Anderson out. But that's what Tupac did, and most of it, after he'd thrown the first couple of punches and knocked Anderson to the ground, was captured on MGM security cameras. There's Anderson on the ground, as the rest of Tupac's group join in the beatdown. There's Suge Knight with a little kick that would violate his probation and send him to prison months later. There's Tupac trying to get another kick in. There's Neckbone in black and Buntry in white with the hat, both well-known guys from the neighborhood who were associated with Death Row. And that appears to be Trayvon, dressed kind of like Buntry in a white shirt and a fedora, but with dark pants instead of white. So casino security are in the middle of it almost immediately, shielding Anderson from the kicks. And then the Death Row entourage hightails it, led by Tupac and Suge, and the network of security cameras tracks their movement through the huge casino. This is an interesting moment as they're walking through the casino. Neckbone gives Trayvon Lane a little punch. Kind of like, we did it, man. We got him back.
We're saying, hey, we got back, man. Get back has been achieved.
Yeah.
And so this is where some of the diabolical self-snitching takes place, right? So according to Keefe D's 2019 book, Compton Street Legend, I've got some excerpts here in my little helpful little research document. Basically, this is when the Southside Compton Crips immediately started planning their retaliation, okay? And this is an excerpt from the book I'll read you. It says, when I asked him what happened, he said, them Death Row dudes rushed me. One of them dudes from the Lakewood Mall was running with that boy that started that stuff. A few East Coast Crips came over and asked if we wanted them to go with us. Nah, we're good. We'll handle our stuff, but good looking out. We appreciated their offer, but this was a matter we determined to handle ourselves. We couldn't let no record company, studio gangsters do us like that. Had they lost their effing rapping ass minds? On top of that, Puffy had already talked to me about helping him out with the problem he was having with them dudes. That was a double whammy. Then you add on top of that the fact that we helped Suge with the money to get his record business going, and the dude gonna bite the hand that fed him? Add insult to injury because Suge still hadn't paid Boss Man his money back, got too big for his britches, and stopped taking Boss Man's calls. Strike three, homie, you're out. And then they would go on to basically discuss the $1 million bounty that was on Suge and Tupac's heads at this time. They were ready to collect. They said the South Side had not gone down to Vegas thinking about marrying Suge Knight or Tupac Shakur. We were out there to do what we had been doing in Vegas for years: eat, drink, and be merry. But when conversations would come up about $1 million bounty on the heads of Suge and Tupac Shakur, that was business. But after Tupac, Suge, and them Death Row dudes jumped on my nephew Baby Lane, that became ominously personal. While we were waiting for the valet to bring our cars, Zip seized the opportunity and called me over to his Benz. Zip was a big-time New York player, pimp, and hustler who had come out to California to handle his business and kick it with us sometimes. As I walked up to the driver's side window, I noticed that the rapper Foxy Brown was in the car with Zip. He instructed her to step out the car and motioned for me to jump in. Zip had a hidden compartment that he opened up. He reached in and pulled back a Glock, pulled a black Glock 40 out, and he turned to me and said, "It's time to get the money." Zip handed me the 17-shot pistol, which I promptly put down the back waist of my pants. I hopped out the car, held the door open for Foxy Brown to get in, and closed the door, and they pulled off. So once again, Mike Dorsey from the Murder Rap would summarize what happened next in great detail. He would basically explain how Keefe D and his crew followed Tupac to another venue, but left after being spotted by Death Row security.
And then the Crips and some of the New Yorkers, not including Zip, get into a van and a white Cadillac and go to Suge's Club 662, which is about 2.5 miles off the Vegas Strip, where Tupac will be performing in a show later that night. And that had been advertised. Everyone knew about it.
You know what happened? I got in the van with the busters. You know what I'm saying? It's 2 cars going to 662. Yeah, the van and the camera.
And in the parking lot at Club 662, the Crips lie in wait. But after a while, they decide to leave when they realize that police are there doing traffic control, and the Bloods doing security at the club are starting to recognize them. This claim by Keefe was confirmed by a former Compton Pyru named Mob James, who was working security at the door and spotted the Southsiders in the Cadillac.
I was out on the parking lot in front of the club. I see the Cadillac. That's Southside right there.
Yeah.
It was parked like right.
So basically, they was on him. They was on his ass, as King Von would say, okay? And then after this, okay, after abandoning their original plan, they would end up changing vehicles, and that's when they ran into Tupac and Suge by complete chance. And according to Keefe D, Suge looked at them directly
on the strip, just driving.
Fly him.
Terrence Brown, a.k.a. T. Brown, is the driver, and DeAndre Smith, a.k.a. Big Dre, is in the backseat with Orlando Anderson.
Stopped at the liquor store. I got out the van with the ass and jumped in the Cadillac. I don't know if it was a bus or they scared.
So the van and the Cadillac part ways, and on their way back to the strip, Keefe and Anderson and the other guys in the white Cadillac encounter Suge and Tupac and their entourage coming the other way.
We like, there you go. Made a U-turn. We wasn't supposed to make a U-turn. Just one of these U-turn. It was in the middle lane. We just pulled up on the side, checked every car, see where they was.
And they catch up with the entourage at the next major intersection, and Keefe supposedly hands a gun to the backseat, which Orlando Anderson grabs, and Anderson fires the shots that ultimately kill Tupac and wound Suge.
I gave it to Dre. Dre was like, no. And Lane's like, yeah, pop, dude. He leaned over on the window, rolled down the window, pop.
And then the Crips speed off into the night, and Tupac dies from his wounds at a local hospital 6 days later.
Damn.
So that's how Tupac was killed. And here's how law enforcement came to know this. First of all, the Blood gang members who were around death row, they knew that night that it was the Southside Crips that did it. According to Keefe, Suge looked right at him when the shooting happened.
You say Suge looks over, he sees you?
Yeah.
He looks right at you?
Yeah, he looked at me.
Why are you looking right at him?
Fucking know what he done since we were 7, 8 years old.
Suge and Keefe.
So he said Suge looked right at them. Okay, they knew each other from way back. They knew what was going on, all right? And basically they knew what was on, really. They were lacking. Ultimately, that is actually the cold, hard truth is that they were low-key actually lacking.
But they was only lacking because they was just getting ready. They ain't thinking nothing gonna happen. They about to go hit the club so Tupac can perform and all that. So they ain't really think, shit was about to pop off that way. But they should have because they just got to a fight with these niggas over here at the fucking MGM. Like, I don't know. That shit fucked up though.
In this situation. Now, the LAPD would identify Orlando Anderson as the shooter, and they sent him to Vegas, okay, but poor cooperation between departments basically made the case go cold, okay? They basically were going to try and get him, and over the years, ultimately, all the suspects except for Keefe D ended up dying in unrelated incidents.
So police in LA are hearing stories like this from their informants, and then a gang war explodes there with Bloods trying to get revenge on the Crips. So Compton PD launches a huge raid on dozens of gang member houses on both sides of the conflict, trying to end the war. And Orlando Anderson is taken into custody, and they hand him over to Las Vegas police. They hand Tupac's killer over to Vegas on a silver platter. Just a few months after Tupac's murder, a Las Vegas Metro homicide sergeant told the media, "We consider Mr. Anderson to be a suspect in the shooting." So they definitely knew. But of course, Anderson denies everything, and Vegas can't build a case, in part, I think, because they didn't trust Compton PD. But also because police in Vegas didn't know anything about Compton gangs, any more than Compton PD would know about gangs in Las Vegas. And so the case went cold, and Tupac's killer walked free. Orlando Anderson was eventually killed at a car wash in Compton, barely a year and a half later, in a shootout that he supposedly instigated over a drug dispute. And he took 2 more lives with him when he died. Orlando's friend, Big Dre Smith, who was in the back seat with him, died from medical issues in 2004. And T. Brown, the driver, was killed at a marijuana dispensary in Compton in 2015, along with the shop's owner, in a double murder that's still unsolved. And Keefe lived to tell police about what happened a dozen years later. And after...
So he apparently told the police what happened, okay? He ends up getting arrested on drug charges.
But still, if he was the only survivor witness, he could have told any type of story he wanted. Like, honestly. But you still gonna get hit with everything because you the only survivor witness. Like, damn.
2008, and ironically, he ends up negotiating a proffer deal, or he ends up negotiating a deal with the LAPD to tell them everything about Tupac's murder under an agreement. And it says Tupac Shakur murder suspect made a deal with the feds 14 years ago that could hurt the case. Dwayne Davis is widely believed to have spoken to federal authorities in Los Angeles about Shakur's murder in a deal in which his statements couldn't be used against him. But here's the ironic thing. Okay, here's the ironic thing. That immunity only applied to what he said on that day, so the Las Vegas PD begun building a case using his public interviews, his book, and his confessions. Basically, everything he said after the proffer was self-snitching, and they built the whole case on him based on this, okay? And look, you got all these interviews that he did. I'm not trying to throw Vlad under the bus. I've read you the excerpts from his book where he basically broke it all down. He's got other interviews, Urban City, Art of Dialogue. They're awfully suspiciously similar to Vlad's thumbnails, but we're gonna let that go. Whole bunch of interviews, man. Whole bunch of interviews, okay? And then ironically, we'll just round it off with this last moment, man. Diddy reacting to being asked if he put a hit on Tupac Shakur on the Breakfast Club, right? We'll answer it once and for all.
Now, it was this documentary that claimed, which we know wasn't true.
Yeah, check this out. We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there, with all due respect, but I appreciate you as a journalist asking. Thank you.
Because you, 7 years ago, I'd have been like, yo, did you have somebody kill Pac? But no, you do it like a journalist.
Yeah, no, I mean, we wouldn't even get into nonsense like that. You know what I'm saying? It's nonsense.
Which we never believed, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the way you're rubbing his head, man. The pen movements, the shades on, finger brushing his hair, visible nervousness, no eye contact. That man was extremely uncomfortable. Diddy didn't even let him finish the question. He responded hella fast and was rubbing his head non-stop. I've only done 1 year of psychology class, and I can tell you something ain't right. The quick smile after Diddy said, I appreciate you as a journalist asking, is called Duper's Delight. He went from Puff Daddy to P. Diddy to P. Did it. We don't talk about the nonsense, but when they brought up 50 calling him gay, he called that nonsense but gave the conversation some attention. Nah, brother, you ain't ducking nonsense. That's just guilt. Dang, that looked kind of suspect when he started rubbing his head and stuttering. You know what would have been funny? If they pulled out a lie detector test and said, Puffy, let's put this documentary to rest and do a lie detector test right now live. It would have been the first time you ever seen. Oh, man. For anyone still not sure, Diddy raps about it in Black Rob's track Muscle Game. He says, F with me, I'll put $1 million on your head, erase you and your whole family, biatch. The way he says biatch was the way that Pac used to say it. Pac was known for saying it in that same tone. He was mocking Pac's death. What? I ain't gonna lie, there's some suspect lyrics on this track, Muscle Game, man. There are some very, very suspect lyrics on here. Diddy, he said, you see in this game, only the strong will survive and the weak shall perish. See, a lot of cats think with their brawn, not with their brain. Ha, come on, man. F with me, I'll drop $1 million on your head, erase you and your whole family, bitch. Come on now, that's muscle. This might be a diss. You think? Might be a diss to Tupac after his death. It's alleged that Puff P. Diddy put $1 million on Tupac, and the Southside Crips collected it when they shot him in Vegas after the fight. But he ain't done self-snitching, man. See, talk is cheap, but bad boys move in silence. Not on this song. Not on this song. You ain't even going to hear me coming. Ha ha. You're just going to wake up with a bunch of angels flying around your head. You feel me? You're dealing with another type of muscle. Okay? And this is verse 5 with Black Rob and Diddy. Now, being that it's all out war, I'm bringing more than that 4-4. Come on, take that, take that. Watch me dispose of y'all. Y'all fraud-ass dudes. Tape made me bored-ass dudes. Gun bigger than your sword-ass dudes. Now enter the ring, gun drawn, making moves like pawns. 2 at a time, coming for mine like it's on. CBS, he can't be serious. Finesse, he don't believe I keep a gun under the vest. This is crazy. And this is verse 6 with Mark Curry and Diddy. You think you can destroy this empire we built from scratch? You're stupid. I wouldn't care how ruthless your crew is. We got defense for this area. Try to attack mad dudes on the barriers. Just dying to blast back, bitch. There'll be no giving and taking. Definitely no breaking. Laws we laid down. Here's the situation. Severe torture is what those who offend us face. I show no love for a punk-ass dude we hate. Trying to pay me no brow and then come up missing. Happen to hard-haired dudes when they don't listen. I gave you fair warning about the danger you're messing with. A stranger invading a street corner is a goner. Try me if you think it's a lie. The attitude many dudes have, but in the process, many die, thinking they can step to the block and bogart. I couldn't see it happening. Warned them first. Get the F out of Dodge. Collision. Diddy, this is our game right here. We ain't playing with you weak dudes. Come on now. I've been doing this for too long, man. If you ain't got the muscle, better have that hustle. It's 1999. No more Mr. Nice Guy. I've been nice too long. I'm going to start making you dudes disappear, man. First, I'm going to take your records off the radio. Then I'm going to mother effing erase your social security number, you know. Take your birth certificate out the file. I'm going to do that to your whole effing family.
Damn.
I ain't going to have no mercy on you. You understand? Come on, no, Mr. Nice Guy. If you ain't got the muscle, you better have the hustle or keep your mother effing mouth shut. Biatch. You tell me in the comments, do you think Diddy did it? Did Diddy did it? Did the Diddy?
Man, Diddy had a hand in all that shit. Like, let's be real. He had a hand in all that shit. Diddy did everything. I don't know. He did all that shit. But y'all just let me know what y'all think. Make sure y'all come back next time. I definitely will be back again later with story time. And it's about, you know, the worst Christmas gift I ever received. But make sure y'all subscribe. And we'll be back with another one. It's your boy Benji.